Hey guys, here we are again with another installment of the A to Z Mysteries from the Lucky Lottery by Ron Roy. Chapter 4, if the book will stay open. Josh glanced around at the old folks. Could one of them be the chief or the thief? He whispered. Hector nodded, then put his finger to his lips. See that woman knitting? See that woman knitting? He dipped his chin towards the white-haired woman sitting on the sofa. That's Zelda Zoot. Oh, well, this is an old man, I'm sorry. See that woman knitting? That's Zelda Zoot. She's a real snoop. Has to know everyone's business around here. I know for a fact that she snitches for cookies. Snitches cookies off the snack cart. The kids followed Hector's gaze. Zelda Zoot was a grandmotherly woman with a lap full of pink yarn and flashing knitting needles. Zelda Zoot hates me, 'cause I told the chef about the cookies. If anyone in this place wants to get even with me, it's Zelda. Dink tried to picture this elderly woman tromping through the snow to burglarize Lucky's house. He couldn't do it. I'll keep an eye on her. If she starts acting rich, I'll let you know, Hector whispered. Blue Boy suddenly flew to the top of Ruth Rose's head. He began pecking gently at her red headband. He likes bright colors, Hector explained. Josh pulled a pencil out of his pocket. Do you have some paper I could borrow? I have to draw a picture of Ruth Rose with a bird on her head. Hector chuckled and got up to get some paper. Don't move, Ruth Rose. What's he doing up there? I still can't do girl voices, I'm trying. What's he doing up there? I think he's making a nest, Dink said, grinning. Hector came back with a sheet of paper. Josh began drawing while Ruth Rose sat like a statue. While Josh was busy sketching, Dink thought about what Hector had told them. Any one of the atrium's residents could be the thief, but Dink didn't think so. Mr. O'Leary, can you tell us where you bought the lottery tickets? Dink asked. Sure, said Hector, dragging a chair closer to Dink. I got 'em at the supermarket Friday morning. Were there any other customers around? Hector closed his eyes, then snapped them open again. Yep, I remember now. A bunch of people were standing around gabbing about the snow, buying candy and gum. Some were behind me in line to buy lottery tickets. Could one of them have seen the numbers you picked? I suppose it's possible. I wrote all my grandkids' birthdays down and handed the slip to the clerk. Then she typed the numbers into the lottery machine and out popped 7 tickets. Anyone could have seen the numbers as I wrote them down. Dink thought for a moment. And did you mention that you were going to send them to your grandkids? Suddenly, Hector's face turned white. I guess maybe I did. While I was addressing the envelope and putting the tickets inside, never thought it would do any harm 'cause I never expected them to win. Hector sighed and shook his head. Me and my big mouth. I just can't help bragging about 'em. How I eat supper at their house and how Lucky's doing in college. Stuff like that. Blue Boy left Ruth Rose's head and zipped across the room. He landed on one of the hanging pots. Rats! I hardly got started. Sorry, that was not a good voice for him. Let me try again. Rats! I had hardly got started. Let me see, Ruth Rose said, reaching for the paper. Josh grinned and folded the drawing in half, then slipped it into his pocket. Nope, not till it's done. Thanks a lot, Mr. O'Leary. Dink stood up and said, I think we'll go talk to the lottery clerk. Do you know her name? Mm. Sure do. It's Dorothy. She's new, but she'll remember me. And if you catch the snake who stole those tickets, there'll be something extra in your Christmas stockings this year.
Great. I usually just get boring underwear,
said Josh. The kids said goodbye and left the atrium. Pal was sleeping under the potted palm tree with his leash on his paws, and Josh woke him up. And the kids got back into their hats and coats. Outside on Main Street, the wind blew snow into the kids' faces.
Do you think Zelda Zoot is a thief? Josh asked. She looks like my grandmother. If the old folks at the atrium know that Hector sends lottery tickets to his grandkids every Christmas, they're all suspects,
Ruth Rose said. Guys, you heard what Hector said. He likes to talk about the grandkids. Anyone in Green Lawn could be the thief, said Dink. The kids trudged up Main Street. 2 minutes later, they bustled into the supermarket and headed towards the lottery counter. Heel! Hail! Josh told Pal, who waddled along next to him.
I wonder if that's Dorothy,
Ruth Rose said, as she pointed at a young blonde woman behind the counter. On the wall above her head hung a small security camera. Dink approached the counter.
Excuse me.
Are you Dorothy? He said. The woman looked up, chomping on a wad of gum.
That's me. That's me,
she said, pointing to her name tag. It said Dorothy Calm. Oh, there she is.
People call me Dot. Who are you?
I'm Dink, and this is Josh and Ruth Rose. Dot blew a small pink bubble and let it pop and then continued chewing.
Nice to meet you,
she said.
We were wondering if you remember selling a bunch of lottery tickets on Friday morning,
Ruth Rose said. The woman laughed.
Kiddo, I sell hundreds of lottery tickets every day.
This was 7 tickets together, Dink explained. He told Dot calm about Lucky's grandfather and how the tickets had been stolen from Lucky's house. Dot stared at Dink for a moment, then smiled fondly.
Yeah, I remember him. Nice old gent. Loves to blah, blah, blah. He told me all about his grandkids and how he sends them lottery tickets every year. Do you remember who was hanging around here when he bought the tickets? Josh asked.
Dot Calm unwrapped a piece of gum and popped it into her mouth. She chewed for a few seconds, then said,
Lots of people were standing around.
Oh, I don't know who's talking. Hold on. Okay.
Did you notice anyone real close who could have overheard what Mr. O'Leary was saying?
Ruth Rose asked. .com squinted and looked into the distance.
Yeah, there was one guy I remember special. He was pretty creepy looking. Can you describe him? Said Ruth Rose. I can do better than that. I know his name, said .com, and smiling.
Chapter 5. You know who he is.
Just his first name. He was wearing a bowling shirt with Joe stitched over the pocket.
Now we're getting somewhere, said Josh.
I think the name of his team was printed on the back of his shirt. I noticed it when he left, but he was too far away to read it, Dot added.
Josh pulled out a pencil and flipped over the piece of drawing paper Hector had given him.
I can sketch him if you tell me what he looked like. You can? Okay, let me see. His hair was dark and kind of floppy. He had a little mustache too, a skinny one, and he had a space between his 2 front teeth. About how old was he? Ruth Rose asked as Josh sketched.
Dot closed her eyes and snapped her bubble gum.
I'd say 25 or so, she said finally.
Did he have any scars or tattoos or anything? Josh asked, watching the thief's face take shape on Josh's paper. Dot shook her head.
Not that I can remember.
Josh held up his drawing so .com could see it.
Does this look like the guy? Yeah, pretty much, she said. But you drew his chin too square. He had kind of a pointy chin.
Josh erased the man's chin and made a few more pencil marks, and then showed her the drawing again.
That's him. Boy, you can make a living as an artist.
Josh blushed.
Thanks. That's what I want to do when I grow up.
Ruth Rose looked at Dink and Josh.
We should take this to the police station and show it to Officer Fallon.
Good idea, said Dink. The kids thanked .com and started to leave.
Hey, I just thought of something, she called after them. Joe said he was thinking of moving to California if he ever got enough money.
Thanks, said Dink. We'll tell Officer Fallon. They hurried out of the supermarket. Snow was still falling. The wind blew into their faces and flakes caught on their eyelashes. Josh slipped his drawing inside his jacket to keep it dry. A few minutes later, they tapped on Officer Fallon's door inside the police station. Come in, he said. How about a Christmas goodie? He held out a paper plate of cookies.
We want to report a crime,
Dink said, taking a cookie and sitting on one of the chairs in the office. Josh and Ruth Rose each took one, then sat next to Dink. Josh broke his cookie in half and gave a chunk to Pal. Officer Fallon leaned on his elbows. I'm listening, he said. Dink told him about the lottery ticket stolen from Lucky's house. Officer Fallon let out a low whistle when Dink said $7 million. Ruth Rose continued telling Officer Fallon about visiting Lucky's grandfather, and Josh finished by telling about their talk with .com. He slid his drawing out from under his jacket and showed it to Officer Fallon.
She told us his name was Joe,
he said. Pretty good artwork, Josh. You know, this face looks familiar, said Officer Fallon, studying the drawing.
Do you think we can find him before tomorrow?
Dink asked. Officer Fallon raised one eyebrow. I can't trace him down without knowing his last name. Why the rush?
Because tomorrow he can cash in Lucky's lottery ticket,
Ruth Rose said.
And the lottery lady said the guy is heading for California,
Josh added. Officer Fallon stood up. I'll do my best, Josh. Can I keep this sketch?
Well, I was planning to finish drawing Ruth Rose. I started a picture on the back.
Officer Fallon flipped the paper over. He grinned at Ruth Rose. Is that a bird on your head?
It's a parakeet,
Ruth Rose said. Then he explained about Blue Boy. Dink told Officer Fallon about Zelda Zoot.
Hector says she steals cookies.
He added, We'll check her out, said Officer Fallon, heading for the copying machine. He placed Josh's drawing on the machine, made a copy, and handed the original back to Josh. I'll circulate the sketch and see what turns up, he said.
What happens if you don't find the crook in time?
Well, that's a problem. As far as I know, whoever presents a winning lottery ticket gets the money. No questions asked.
Even if they stole it? That's not fair,
said Josh. I know it isn't fair, but the lottery people have to award the money to the ticket holder. Officer Fallon thought for a minute. I suppose if they had proof the ticket was stolen, they would hold back the money. He looked at the kids. But you have no real proof. Your friend can't prove his grandfather bought tickets and sent them.
Then we'll get proof,
Dink stood up and said. And that's where I'm going to stop for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed that bit of the story. And I'll make another video for tomorrow. See you then. Bye.